Well, this is Nicole M. Louis. Hello there. This is Nicole M. Louis, the social worker strategy mentor. I hope that you are well. I'm checking in with you really quickly just to have a quick conversation with you. I hope your day has been beautiful. It's been a lovely day today. It's been quite warm here in London, clear blue sky, which is still up, and I've been enjoying the day. Speaking with a lot of my launchers and meeting my mentees, working with them, moving them forward, which has been very exciting, seeing the things that they're creating and what they're coming up with. So we'll be able to be sharing that with you very soon. So for those of you that might be seeing me for the first time, or if you've recently connected with me, my name's Nicole M. Louis, and I help social workers who want more control and freedom over their career, to create a career within the industry that is more aligned with their values and the way that they work, and where they can create it around their life rather than the other way around. I help them do that. I help them start their own social work business and become fully independent, basically, and scale their business. So today I'm going to be talking about the struggles. There are two key ones that I've really identified that independent social workers really struggle with. Indeed, I struggled with this at the beginning initially, and I've had to learn, even in pivoting into what I'm doing now as an independent social worker, being able to get confident in this and really learn it and master it. And so I'm going to be sharing with you what the struggles are and really the kind of things you need to be doing to overcome it. So before I do that, I'm just going to let you know that they'll be in the comments section below, or in the kind of title, a link where if you'd like my assistance and support, to be able to look at what you might want to do as a fully independent social worker. If it's even for you, if it's going to work for you, then you can apply to get a free 45-minute breakthrough consultation with me. So I'll put that in the link. So, okay, let's get straight into it. There are two key things. Well, first of all, let me tell you why I think this is important to talk about, because, I see social workers go independent, and most of the time it's done in a very conventional way. So social workers that are either doing assessments or reports, they might be even doing some lecturing, perhaps, where they kind of have a consistent piece of money coming in. And so they're not operating necessarily as a business that is, I don't know, outside of consultancy or even within consultancy fully. And I know consultancy can look in very different ways. So you can do consultancy for somebody where you have them on you have them on a retainer, or they have you rather on a retainer, and so you get a regular piece of income that way, which is fine. Of course, that's also fully independent. Many social workers don't necessarily do things like that. They don't kind of set up in that kind of way. And again, there's only so far that will go depending on who you're working with, what you're doing. And oftentimes you're also bound, when you're on a retainer, to still work in a way, because of the way things are set up, the way social workers who are independent set up. It will be done in a way where actually you're still having to go in to an office or operate in a way that doesn't necessarily align with the level of flexibility that you want as a social worker. And so that works for some people, and that's fine. They're okay with that. So for those social workers where that doesn't really fit with them, and I speak to many who don't necessarily want something like that. They don't want to work for somebody else. They don't want to be in a position where they have to go into an office, or they have to turn up when somebody says, but rather they want to be able to turn up when they want and where they want and how they want. And so this is really for you, if that's the kind of independent social work that you're looking for. So again, you can put in the comments, you can come and comment along and join the conversation if you'd like. And I will, at the end of this, kind of go and check the comments, whether you're on Instagram or everywhere else. I'm streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on YouTube as well as Instagram. And so I'll go ahead and look at those afterwards and respond to your comments. So let's talk about the first one. The first one that I see independent social workers really struggle with when they're creating their business is sales, understanding the elements of sales. And I've taken some notes of some of the key things I want to make sure that I include in talking about this. And then, of course, I'm going to talk about what you need to do really to review that and to look at that. So first and foremost, they struggle with confidence in what they offer. I can remember when I very first started, I was always packaged things and did things in a way that was very unconventional, and I would create bespoke packages. But I always, in my vision, I wanted the flexibility of being able to have every day looking very different. And so there were times I was doing consultancy for the college and also school. I also would do some packages where I was working with individuals who were having court cases. I also did things where I was doing different kinds of reports, so human rights assessments, risk assessments, some of the ones that weren't your typical like parenting assessments and stuff like that. But I can remember when I was writing my reports and I was first figuring out pricing, I remember I had solicitors telling me, your reports, your assessments, they're so good, they're so detailed, more than what we would normally get, and they're so thorough that the judges are reporting positively of them, but you're charging too little. This is what you need to be charging. And then they tell their colleagues about me. And so that was a huge thing. There are two elements to that. When you're pricing your stuff too low, people will you'll get lots of work coming in because it's a reasonable rate, right? It's a reasonable rate, or more than reasonable. Reasonable is probably an understatement, right? And so that's a kind of a red flag, and something that you want to check. Is maybe a benchmark to really check where your pricing is if you're inundated. And indeed, I've spoken with many of independent social workers or semi-independent social workers who have tried their hand at it and realized that they were charging way too low. And they realized that because the amount of work they were getting, but also when they did sit and eventually run the numbers, after they found that they were in a deficit every month, that's when they realized, I haven't done my pricing right. So having the confidence in what you offer relates specifically to how you then price, and how you price is then also indicates how your methodology into how you will sell, how you will share what value that you offer. And people don't like talking about money, and they don't like talking about sales, but the reality is we are all consumers, right? And we're sold to all the time, every day. And so this is something that you have to get comfortable with as an independent social worker. And the reality is a lot of people feel uncomfortable about it, especially in this industry. And we have to be able to move past that and get out of that comfort zone and really check what is our money blueprint? What kind of household did we come from? Did we come from a household where we were taught that money is, too much money? If you're Christian, you shouldn't have a lot of money. You should be kind of always poor or broke or struggling. What are the kind of value systems that you have around money? Is it that you grew up in a household where you didn't have a lot of money, and so there's kind of that scarcity mindset, and so it's a struggle to think that you could ever have more money than you have currently ever known or seen? And so there are a lot of those things that you will have to work through, because that will impact your understanding even of how to price what you offer, and then also asking for the offer, asking for the sale even. So not being afraid to tell somebody, hey, this is what I've got, this is going to be great for you, I know that it works, it's going to be amazing experience and will take you where you're trying to get to. So I think you should absolutely look at this. A lot of people they don't have the confidence necessary to do that. They'll kind of hide and wait and hope that somebody will respond to them or send them an email, or hopefully that somebody will refer them, and their expectation is that it will go ahead. And if somebody has been referred to them, it may be again off the back of great work that they've done. But again, if that person has got an expectation that you're going to work with them or for them for free, or at a much lower amount than you should be, then a lot of social workers who are independent will feel obliged to do just that because it's come through as a referral, and they don't have the confidence or understand how to actually show the value that they offer. And so there's a whole process to that, and it's important that that's understood how to do that, because it's important that what we do, where if we really want to reach people on the magnitude that we want to reach them, we have to ensure that we are getting value as much as what we are giving out. And so all of those moving parts are important as it relates to sales, because you want to be able to replace your income and go beyond that. as an independent social worker. That has to be one of your goals. So when I'm teaching the wealth goal system to my mentees, I'm giving them all the different moving pieces of how that connects together. And again, having a clear strategy of how to replace your income, but it's breadcrumb trails that leads to that. And so again, confidence in what you offer, knowing what you offer, knowing how to price, not being scared to ask for the sale, because you're giving great value, and understand how to position that, but also understanding that your goal in mind is to be replacing your income and more, right? So that's one of the biggest things that independent social workers struggle. And I've seen that is like the number one. That's why I've placed it first or talked about it first, because of the fact social workers that I've come into contact with who were previously fully independent and have gone back have struggled in this area, which has meant their business part, that is a big reason why it wasn't successful and didn't have the sustainability, because they didn't have the infrastructure as well with it, but they didn't know these elements, they didn't know how to do these things, and so they were really operating at a deficit and they didn't realize it. I didn't realize that. So when they kind of continued on their journey as an independent social worker, at some point they hit a wall and they didn't know how to move past that wall, and it meant they had to return, or circumstance curtailed their plan and they suddenly realized, okay, this isn't sustainable. What I've currently got isn't even working for me. The numbers don't even make sense. And so they've had to kind of go back. So that's what number one. I'm going to go on to number two, but just for those of you that have joined midway, just to remind you that if you're wanting support with becoming fully independent, or you're interested in being able to have some free time, one-to-one exclusive time where we can talk specifically about your needs, what you're trying to create, what you want to do, then you can apply to have a free consultation with me, and I'll put the link in the comments or it will be up the top, depending on where you're finding me. So that's number one, sales. The other thing is overwhelm. Overwhelm is huge as it relates to independent social work. It can be. And why the biggest thing is being able to put, your skills, your expertise together, knowing how to do that, knowing what you even need to do. Social workers just haven't got a clue where to start. And I covered some of this when I spoke on Thursday. I did a live stream on Thursday, so you can check that out if you didn't join me for that. But I went into that a little bit. And so that is a huge thing, understanding what to put together, how to put your actual business together and what you're going to offer, and understanding the moving parts of creating a business. There are a lot of moving parts, and it's important that you're doing it in a structured way. So that, as I said, I use the term breadcrumb trails. That's important. You want to be able to be clear about the different moving parts that have to come together. You don't want to have gaps. That's another thing that causes the overwhelm, is having gaps. There are a lot of areas as independent social workers that are putting their business together, they don't even realize they're missing. They just are clueless. And so when I've worked with people before who have either got a business currently, if they're ISWs and they're trying to transition into full independence, or if they have been fully independent before and now they're back in local authority and they want help to take that step again. One of the things when I audit their business that they currently have or that they previously had, we look at what were the gaping holes, what were the bits missing. And that's I'm teaching them also the principles, so that even when they've finished working with me, they understand what they need to be doing. So when they go to create a new business, or if they want to pivot into something different with their current business that we're setting up, they can do that. They've got the knowledge and they understand what they're doing. They understand the principles, right? So understanding the moving parts and knowing where to begin, knowing how to pull it together. And when they have that overwhelm is what leads to also procrastination. One of my mentors talks about the fact procrastination is about a lack of clarity in what you're doing. And so that is a huge thing that independent social workers can struggle with. And that's where not scaling their business comes in, because they procrastinate and stay stuck where they are because they're missing the moving parts. They haven't really put it together properly because they don't really know what they're doing. They don't even know that they're missing parts, and they haven't really known where to begin to be able to think about making this something sustainable that can actually grow and scale. And so those are really some of the two key things that I have found independent social workers struggle with. And so one of the key things when I was struggling with some of those parts was I had to make sure I had mentors. And so I've spent a lot, and not just time but money, in being able to learn and understand how to do these things over the past, well, I'm 7 years plus now, so 5 to 6 years was where I did most of my learning and most of my mistakes. And now I'm in a place where I've put it all together, combined it, and given people the blueprint, social workers the blueprint, so they don't have to spend 6 years figuring it out and experiencing the pitfalls that I did. So I hope this has been useful for you, and I'd love to answer any questions that you may have. So go ahead and put it in the comments. And as I said, if you're interested in, working with me or having a consultation with me to start off with, just to be able to understand where does independent social work fit in your life, if it does, then go ahead and reach out. Use the link that I'm putting in the comments or up above, and you can apply for a consultation with me. And I look forward to speaking with you very soon. I'll be back again on Tuesday. So bye for now.